Hey, it's me, Bria, and I'm a lifestyle coach. I help moms reclaim their time and energy. Look at you, taking this moment to recharge. I see you. During the Doulas Bloom podcast, I share tools and resources with my clients and community to spend time with themselves. The key to you living as your authentic self is embracing change and having courage. Your relationship with yourself is the only true constant in life, and observing yourself throughout each season will allow you to always be in alignment with the desires of your heart. Are you interested in joining my one-on-one coaching program? You can book a sales call with me by visiting the link in the description to schedule your session today. Before we get started, I have to remind you of your influence because you are an inspiration. Hey everybody, and happy International Women's Month. I am so excited for this series. I have been hard at work all of February recording with amazing women to bring you their stories. I created the Girl Chat series not only to share the stories of amazing women, but to also create time capsules of our growth. I think it's so important for us to go back and witness ourselves. And through this series, I have created a little time capsule, not only for me, but also for the women who joined me in these chats. We get to go back and witness ourselves in these moments. And I teach my clients and my community to do this on a monthly and weekly level. And so I'm so excited to expand and grow this series as time goes on. It's going to be so interesting to have guests come back on to the series. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If this is your first time here, my name is Bria. I am a lifestyle coach. I host the Doulas Bloom podcast. I am the creator of the Doulas Bloom community, and I am the leader of the village. So I'm so excited to bring you this March 2022 cohort of Girl Chats. I have committed to doing this every year, as last year in 2021, I did a series, an IGTV series of Girl Chats, which will also be shared during this month, that has inspired me to continue to share stories and to have conversations with women about their stories and their lives and what's brought them to this point. So for the rest of March 2022, you will be getting stories from 20 plus women about their stories, about where they are right now and what has brought them to this point. And I am so excited to do this again. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's shared so openly in this series. And I am so excited to hop right into this conversation. Clearly, you clicked on this one because something in the title or the description, or you know the person who's going to be on this chat. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I am so looking forward to our conversation about where you are a year from now, 2 years from now. I'm just excited to have you back for another Girl Chat. But I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stop rambling and hop right into this conversation because it is so beautiful, and I don't take any of this for granted, and that's why I really had to come in here hot before we even got into the conversation just to share that. And I'm gushing right now, but thank you so much for listening, you as the viewer who's experiencing this conversation, this Girl Chat, and thank you to everybody who's been on the Girl Chat in its entirety. So I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna let the Girl Chat go. But if you're interested in being part of a Girl Chat with us here on the Doulas Bloom podcast, let me know. You can go to the description. There's a link down there for you to join the wait list. There's a wait list, y'all. There's a wait list for the Girl Chats because so many people wanted to be a part of this, and I'm just excited because we're gonna have more Girl Chats here in the future. So if you want to be a part of the next cohort, you need to join the wait list. Okay, have these conversations, share your story, share your insights and your gems with the community, and let us know what's going on. I don't want us to hide and think that we don't, like, our stories aren't enough. Like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much from the women in my life, and that's why this series means so much to me. But again, I want to create space for you to enjoy this conversation. And again, thank you so much to everybody who's listening, who's being a part of this series. I am happy that you're here. Again, if you want to be a part of this series, you can join the waitlist. The link is down below. You can go to doulasbloom.com/podcast guest to join the waitlist. So without further ado, it's time for a Girl Chat. It's time for a girl chat.
Enjoy.
Time for a girl chat. It's time for a girl chat. What? Time for a girl chat. Bow. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Do Spoon podcast. It's me, it's Bria, and today we're doing something a little different. We're not teaching today or coaching. This is just a girl chat. And so I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited to be chatting with today's guest. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Bria.
It's been so long since I've seen Samantha, and I'm just so excited to hop right into today's chat because I feel like we have a lot of catching up to do. So I'm going to let Sam introduce herself before we get started. So Sam, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Really nice to be here with all of you and with you, Bria. It's so fun to see you. Little intro about me. So I am a career and leadership coach. I've been doing it for over 5 years and it's the best. I'll say more about where I met Bria, but I started out as her career advisor at Johnson & Wales University. And I've since moved from higher ed to have my own business called Quarterlife Crisis. So work with a lot of people in their 20s and 30s, trying to figure out their priorities with their career, their life, and how to get to where they want to go. And I also work part-time at a coding boot camp. So I work with software engineers, getting them into tech, which is really fun as well.
That's cool. I didn't know that you were working with software engineers. But
yeah, it's really, really fun. It's like such a cool way for people who maybe don't want to spend all the money on college or a master's degree to get, a very tangible skill that's marketable now, relatively quickly, relatively affordably, and pivot into a much higher paying field. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually have some news to share with you, but I want to first give everybody a little context to how we know each other. Obviously, I attended Johnson & Wales where Sam was working. We actually started the same year together. Is that right?
I had been there not for a full year. I just started in April, but then when you came in September, you were my first new class. So I was very excited to meet all the new freshmen, and I met Bria, and my life was changed.
Yeah, forever, both of our lives. So I like to do a little first impression, what was your first impression of me? And then I'll share my first impression of you. So I'll let you go first because I remember the experience and it makes me smile so big.
Well, let me just set the stage. So we were in our career services department. So we're helping people get jobs. We're super excited for the new fall year because, summer is a little bit boring in higher ed. I mean, it's nice, but you're waiting for the students, you're planning. And then day one hits and we had all these career events. And the first one we did was called a career carnival. And something we did was have a professional dress closet.
Yeah.
So it was blazers and stuff like that. And I remember seeing Bria from across the way with her friend, looking through stuff. And there weren't that many people there. So I think I was going up to everyone and introducing myself and seeing what people needed. And I just remember you seemed really engaged and proactive and smart. And very quickly you were like, yeah, I do want a job. So I'd love your help. And I was like, okay, here's my card. Come see me. And it was kind of excited. It was ooh, a new student actually wants to work with me. Yay. And then when I met you, when we did your resume, I was like, this person who's 19 has done so much. It doesn't even fit on a single page resume. I just remember being really impressed and was like, this is amazing. And then when a job opening opened up in our department, a day later, I was like, I know somebody. And that's how it all began.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end. Oh, I remember that interview. It was so you were gassing me up and I was like, it's nothing. You were like, no, this is awesome. We need to say this and this. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was just so interesting to see someone who I didn't know, I just met you, get so excited about the things that I've done prior to school, college. So I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is awesome. And it's she sees me for more than just a person who could do the job and just do the job. I feel like you were invested in me. And that's why I love Sam, because I feel like you're still invested in me. We do check in every 7-8 months, when we think of each other. But that was kind of like my first impression. You were just like so engaged. And I feel like our energy is like very on the same wave, because like I could always just sit in your office and just be like, and like we didn't even really have to say anything. But it was always just like really nice to like have someone in the department that I was working in that I felt so close to and like who I could trust. And so that was like, I trusted you immediately. I was like, Sam can help me. I was like, everybody, you need a job, go to Sam. Go to Sam. I was like, come to my department. Let me book you an appointment. Come on. So that was kind of like my first impression of everything. And I was just happy to have met you so soon. Because like you said, it was that first career event. So yeah, I didn't even remember I went to the career carnival, but nice to reflect.
Yeah, for sure. It makes me happy that was your impression, that I was invested, because I think that's very genuine of like, it's very easy to be invested in you because you're amazing. But I think with everybody that I work with, it's like, and just every human in the world, it's like I get so invested in their potential. This is like such a tangent, but I've been watching the Olympics and it's so great. Like in 2 seconds, all of a sudden you're like, I care so much about this person. I want them to win, you know? And I feel like that's true with my work and your work too, probably, of like, you just, why not want someone to grow, right? It's just like, of course you want that. And it's just so easy to just dive in and say like, how can I help? And just for fun, so everybody knows. So Bria applied to be a student assistant in our department. And basically, you know, the person we had the year before wasn't, you know, left. So it was like, all right, we have this new slot. We interviewed a couple great candidates, but we interviewed Bria, and my director turned to me at the end after you'd left and she goes, Sam, where did you find her? And I was like, yeah, I know how to pick them. And she was like, she's the one. And it was like the best hire we ever made, because you worked with me there for 2 years until the pandemic, and were like the most reliable. I was like, Bria's not a student, right? Like she was a staff member. Since she worked there full time, it was like the most reliable person. And then I ended up managing you the second year, which was really fun, because we were just like, how do we want to work together?
Future Week, man.
We planned this really massive event called Future Week. It was really intense, but we did it. I feel like it was just like you and me against the world at the end there, which literally it was, because
the new director.
Right before the pandemic, everyone in our department left except for you and me. So it was the team of 5 to then a team of 2.
Exactly.
And we held it down
until
right through March 2020. And then everything happened and it was just absolute chaos. But I was glad. I was like, please don't leave me, Bria. I need you.
I was like, I'm trying to stay. My mom was like, you need to come home. I'm like,
yeah, in retrospect, you made a good call going home.
Yeah, I did, because the campus closed. But I wanted to share that I actually put in my notice for my job that I've been like working, like this is my first job that I had since the peak of the pandemic. And I was just like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Because like I don't have a plan. I really don't. I just quit my job. I still have 2 weeks. I put my notice in, but I'm just like, oh well, let's see what's gonna happen. And like this is a very raw moment, everybody. Sam is my like person who I talk through. She's got the quarter-life crisis. I am 23. I feel like I'm on the verge of my my quarter-life crisis, and I'm just like, I don't know. I've been talking with like recruiters and they're like, here's this remote job. And then I'm like, I live by all these shops because I don't live at home anymore. Praise the Lord. And it's just like, I just want to be in this chapter where like, I feel empowered to have the job that I have, rather than just being like, I'm just doing this because it's here and it's convenient, rather than like feeling good about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want some coaching? Do you want some advice?
Oh, if it's,
want to just chat?
Yes, let's chat. Show the people what Sam is working with. Show them your magic.
Okay. Well, okay. So what would be your ideal scenario if you could get your perfect next job?
I want to work remote.
Okay.
I think that's like the only requirement that I have, like other than like pay. I'm just like, I want to work remote. I literally could do anything data entry, if they want marketing things, like I could literally do anything. And it's just like, I just want to be at home and I want to be done with the day before like 4 p.m. And that's it. That's all Bria wants. So I can like have time to have sessions with my clients and also take care of myself. And that's all that's important. Like saving money and all those types of things, like life things. But I want to be at home. I don't want to see people I don't want to see. I hope that's not mean to say, but I really don't.
Yeah, fair enough. Remote. You mentioned money. I don't know how vulnerable you're willing to get, but what's kind of your ideal in terms of salary?
I see. Okay, here's the thing. I dropped out of school, Sam. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I don't have a college degree. Like, what is the right thing? But I'm like, I need a living wage. Can't be working full-time hours on part-time pay. So like, as this would be like my first big girl job, I don't even know what suitable compensation looks like, but I know what feels good for me, and that's like 20 plus. What feels good? I'm like, if it's more than 20, like 23, 25, that feels good to me. That's where I could show up with a smile every day and not be like, I hate this place. So that's kind of like how I feel around compensation, because I'm just like, this is like my first big girl job other than like my business, but that's very different.
Yeah, for sure. I think what you're describing, I think, is very common to a lot of people I work with, which is that people tend to, I would say, aim broadly. And in that way, they can kind of aim low. So it's like, and knowing this is helpful because I know you and I know you could do anything and you'd be good at it.
Yeah.
But you need to, I think it's helpful to separate that from what you actually want and what you deserve, right? As opposed to, well, I could do anything.
This is a beautiful opportunity even for the listeners to know, like, I need to be specific in what I'm asking for, because like just being so broad, like you said, like I could do anything, but it's like, what do I really want?
Yeah. And even knowing, like, I think being kind of empowered in terms of your finances is really important, because I think it's good to know, like, all right, to live, I need 20 an hour. Okay, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like to feel like I'm feeling good about going into work every day is 25. That's a really different feeling.
Yeah.
And even having that as a standard of like, hey, if I get to the point I need to take something, I can take 20, but like, you know, maybe you only apply for things that are 25 for X amount of time.
Yeah. I need this today, Samantha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am so, like, this is what Sam does, everybody. She's so eager to help, and I'm willing to receive whatever Sam has to say. I've cried in Samantha's office before. I'm sure I'll cry in her office again.
My virtual Zoom office now.
Yes, your virtual Zoom office. And it's just like, how do you even feel empowered through your job? Because like, I know all my skills and things, but I guess I don't really know how to, I wouldn't say put my best foot forward, but like how to even find a position that would be good for me. And those, like, you know, do you get what I'm asking?
I 100% do. And I think
vague.
no, like I get it. And I think that's one of the most common things people come to me asking is they say, like, how do I figure out my strengths and my skills and then translate that to a job? Or they say, I know my strengths and skills, but I don't know how to translate it to a job. And I would say a couple things. I think the first step is like starting with reflection. So, and one of the assessments I've created that I think is helpful is basically a list of skills and tasks, and then level of enjoyment and level of competence. So if you think about like presenting, there's then a little checkbox that's like 1 to 5, how good am I at presenting? And then 1 to 5, how much do I enjoy this?
Yeah.
And I know for someone like you could fall into this trap once again, it's like you're really good at everything, that it can kind of feel like the same as enjoying it, of like, well, once again, I can do it. I've done it before. I know I'm skilled. I can do data entry. But do you enjoy data entry?
That's a big, I see the difference, because like the job that I have now, or for a few more weeks, I can definitely do the job. I'm competent. I can cook. I can serve 1,000+ people in a day. I can do it. I know how to run a kitchen. Do I enjoy the day-to-day of running a kitchen? I do not. I don't enjoy it. People need things, and I'm like, this is not a restaurant. It's not a restaurant. And so it's just like, what do I actually enjoy? And I think like that reflection piece is so good because it takes like first getting clarity with yourself and having self-awareness and being like, well, what do I like?
Yeah. That's step one. And I would suggest for you or anyone to do that work. When I say do reflection first, what I mean is before you go into what I call the Indeed black hole, which is when you're like, I don't like my job. Let's see what's out there. And you go on Indeed or maybe LinkedIn and you just start looking. And it usually leads to a spiral where you're like, could I do this? Could I get it? It requires 2 years of experience. Does my experience count as 2 years of experience? I don't know. Should I apply? Oh, like they require me to input my resume 5 different times. And then 5 hours later, you're like, do I even want this job?
Yeah.
You know, and I think the challenge with that is I think it can be very reactive. You're reacting to what companies are putting out in the marketplace. And then you're kind of being like, yes, no, maybe, ooh, I don't know. Right. Whereas I think it's helpful to be proactive by saying, all right, once again, what's my ideal? And that doesn't mean that you're going to get your ideal job one next day. But even if it's like, here's my ideal 10 years down the future, then you can work backwards and say, okay, so if I'm going to get a new job every 2 years, what's the 5 steps before that that's at least leading to my ultimate goal. I think that's really helpful. And then the other things, if you don't know, then there's a process of like networking, doing informational interviews. There's some other activities. Like one thing I have a lot of people do is actually write out their ideal job description. It's like before you go looking for it, write out what it would look like if you found it. And you know how job descriptions, it's like 25% of the time they'll be teaching, 30% of the time they'll be traveling and presenting to classrooms, right? It's like write out that percentage and the tasks that you'd be doing in your ideal job. And that can be really helpful.
Like now that we're talking through it, I feel like I have some things because I've been talking about working for a nonprofit or something that is a little bit more community centered for a long time. And I'm just like, I just want to be like a part of the outreach team and kind of be in front of people, which is like very me, I was a cat ambassador, which is the campus ambassadors team. Basically, whenever new students came on, I was one of the first students they met. And so just like being there to like bridge transitions for people as they navigate coming into a new chapter, I love that. And like something where I can like actually talk to people, just have conversations. Like that's what I love. It's not customer service, but it's just like that conversational portion of like volunteering and doing things like that. Like I could definitely manage a volunteer team or some type of community outreach program. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I'm definitely like seeing that like resume in my head, that not resume, but job
description.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. I think 2 things. I think one is like that part of like, I love talking to people. That's one of those tasks. Like if it's one-on-one, that's what made me want to become a coach. Is like, I could talk to people one-on-one and have deep conversations all day, every day. And I would be thrilled. It was like, what are jobs where I get to do that? So that's one piece. I think another piece that you're hitting on is values, which, you're saying impact, right? A lot of people say like, I want my career to be in the nonprofit or environmental or social justice space where I'm actually doing something I believe in and doing good for the world. So that's one value that's really important for people. Another could be salary. Another could be work-life balance. Another could be commute or working remote. And I do similar to the task assessment. I have a similar one with values where basically you say like, how important is this value to me and how aligned is my life with that right now? It's like, that's going to be I think those 2 factors are probably like the biggest ones to consider when thinking about your next step or your future career.
Yeah. I'm just like, Sam, send me all the things.
Shameless plug, they're on my website. You can buy them as an independent product, those 2 assessments, or you can, work with me if you want to, but the cheaper is just to buy the assessment.
But having access to you is the best part of like having a coach, because like as I'm a coach too, it's just like I can share all these resources, but actually having a conversation and like helping someone find the right resource for them, because they might think it's A when it's really E, and it's like you need to be over here, is so much more effective. And I'm just grateful to like just have this connection with you, because like, oh my gosh, we went off on a little tangent, but I'm glad where it landed. Like I feel supported in this conversation, and I just love hearing about your work, because we all need to be doing work, that having jobs that we feel good about. So yeah, I'm all over the place now as a host, because I'm just like put my heart on my sleeve there for a second. But I would love it if you could share maybe like one challenge or obstacle that you had to overcome as you like started your own business, or even like deciding that being a career coach was like the thing for you. Because like I know we've talked about these things, but like anything you would want to share with everyone who's listening would be super helpful.
For sure. I wonder if this is what you had in mind, but there's a very clear one that comes up, which is that I was very young when I decided to be a coach, as I know you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be challenging. It can also be an asset, but I think we're starting out, it definitely felt like a detriment in some ways. And a couple things. One is that, so I'm a certified coach through International Coach Federation. If any of you are coaches are interested in becoming an ICF certified coach, it's definitely a really great resource. It's a great program. Happy to chat more about it to people if they're interested. But a lot of the people that do that are like, you know, execs who've had 50 years of experience and then want to give back, right? So it's a lot of people want to be executive coaches, or to people in the C-suite level in corporate America. And I was like 24 and I was like, I like working with people one-on-one, and coaching sounds fun. So I really stuck out a little bit like a sore thumb. I knew that my path, it wasn't necessarily like I need to come in and coach executives. I was like, I want to work with people one-on-one, and this is a skill set that is useful.
Yeah.
And career coaching in a university turned out to be a great fit, where my age wasn't necessarily a detriment. You know, I was still, some people were like, are you my age? If they were like potentially a slightly older student or non-traditional student. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm 28. And they were like, I'm 28. That's cool. Haha. You know, but for the most part, it wasn't abnormal to be in your 20s working at a university. But there certainly have been times where I've also coached leaders who are 50, 60, and sometimes they bring it up and sometimes they're like, well, whatever, cool, you know? So
yeah,
I would say one challenge was just like knowing where I fit and kind of like convincing. I would say one challenge was knowing where I fit. The other part was potentially convincing people I belonged. And in my coaching program, you know, I had somebody who said like, oh, I didn't necessarily want to be coached by you at first because you're so young. And I was like, disappointed to be your partner. But then you actually ended up being great. And I was like, it worked out and I was wrong. It was like, it's like, yay, you know, like, thanks that like that worked out. But it's a bummer that, I mean, of course, it makes sense to judge people. That's what people do, but it just sucks at the same time. And you're like, wish that didn't happen. I feel like I overcame it, or sometimes I'm still overcoming it in a couple of ways. One is kind of silly, but just like I started dressing a lot better, right? I kind of used to dress like whatever, casual, who cares? And then everyone was like, you look so young. And I was like, all right, it's time to go to the loft and Taylor. It's time to whip out the credit card and, you know, up the wardrobe game. I think that definitely helped. I definitely dressed, I would say like I dressed nicer than maybe some other people at Johnson & Wales for sure. But if I ever wore a t-shirt, like one of the student admissions days or something, it was like Johnson & Wales, and people would be like, so are you a student? And I was like, no. So like it made a difference.
Yeah.
I think another is like just presenting yourself confidently, especially when you've been told you're too young for something or that you've not experienced enough. Then you can internalize that imposter syndrome, and then it can come out in how you describe yourself. So where like, I think when I was starting out coaching, I would say, I'm starting out coaching, or I'm training as a coach, or I'm a student. And of course, then nobody takes you seriously, right? Nobody wants to be your client if you're like, I'm just starting out.
Yeah.
Right. So learning how to just confidently be like, I'm a coach was a big shift.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I can relate. My business
Yeah.
coach is always like, just call yourself a coach. And I'm like, okay.
Are you sure?
I'm like, all right, I'm a lifestyle coach for moms. Hey, y'all. Like,
Yeah.
all of my clients are older than me, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I am more concerned about my age because I'm always like, I intentionally hide it sometimes. And I like people to guess because they always think I'm like late 20s, early 30s. And I'm just like, no, I'm a baby over here looking like a fetus. I am 23. And yeah, people they always tell me like, you're so wise. And I'm like, thank you. I had a lot of life experiences. But I thank you for sharing that. I can definitely relate to like imposter syndrome. And like, I didn't know that you decided to be a coach at 24. So like, that makes me feel good because it's like, if Sam can do it, I can do it.
You are doing it,
I am
which makes
doing
me
it.
happy.
I am doing it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have a business and it's blowing my mind. I was actually talking to, I don't know if you remember Sabria. Do you remember Sabria? She worked in admissions, but she was on, I recorded with her for a girl chat like a little like last week, and she was talking about how I won the Shark Fest.
Yes, which is
And she was
amazing.
like, your concept is the same, and now like you're living it out, and like it's evolved into this business. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so like I went back and found the recording of my presentation. And I was like, oh my gosh, nothing has changed. I am still the same person. I have just aged. And it's just like our internal values and missions and like things that we're compelled to like always stay the same. So I think that's interesting that like you picked up on that as a younger person and like you're still doing it, because I love one-on-one. I love this.
Me too. Yeah, no, you wrote in one of the prep questions, what brought you to the version of yourself we're witnessing today. And it's interesting to connect the dots. It's not like things happen to you at 16 and you're like, ding, 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 this is going to be the thing or the moment where I realized I should be that thing, right? But if you look back, it's like, oh, like all these are like little, stitches and thread, and suddenly there's a quilt. It's like those little moments where the seeds are planted. I don't know what's the best metaphor, but
I like the sewing one. I really like the sewing one.
It just came to me.
Hand stitching takes time, so it's like each little stitch, each action, each task.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think like, so my mom is a psychotherapist, so that certainly gave me exposure to just like deep emotional work. And I remember very distinctly in middle school when, of course, all your friends, you love and you hate them at the same time. And I had a friend who like wasn't listening to me, and I was really frustrated. And I came home and complained to my mom, and I was just like, she's such a bad listener. And my mom was like, wait here. And she went to her bookshelf of books and pulled out this book that had a page on listening that had the 7 levels of listening. And one of them was like, I think it was like level 4 was like one-upmanship of like, oh yeah, I like that. Me too. Here's a story of like when I did it. And that's what they had been doing. And I was like, I can't believe there are books like this that take what you do in everyday life and put a theory to it that is helpful. It was like intuitive, but also like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way before. And I feel like when I found theories like that or moments like that growing up, I was always like, this is so cool. Where do I do this? And that was like the other thing. It wasn't like, ta-da, so become a coach. Like, I think for a while I thought maybe I'd become a therapist because that's what my mom was. And I was like, oh, cool. Psychology is interesting. But I took an intro to psych class in high school, and it was very diagnostic. So it was like, well, here's when somebody has bipolar disorder, they check these 20 boxes. And I was like, well, that's not really it. It was like, I don't really want to like have people take these little surveys and check them off. Like, it's more something else, right? And so I kind of was like, oh, no psychology for me. But then later, when I like learned about some leadership theories on how to give feedback or like team dynamics. It was the same thing of like, oh, teams go through the same cycle of like forming, norming, storming, and performing. Like, that's cool.
I love that. I said it wrong.
Forming, storming, norming, performing. My bad.
I love that class. That was my favorite. Yay. Sam was also my professor.
I taught a class. Bria was an exceptional student, no surprise. But no, so it was like, if I think back, it's like all those moments I was really engaged. But once again, it was like they might have been a year apart or 2 years apart. And then I didn't know necessarily where it led to a career until I very kind of luckily found an internship at a place called the Partnership for Public Service, which has a really cool internship program. Check it out. But they do training for government employees in leadership, among other things. And I got exposed to executive coaches who are teaching government employees about like the Myers-Briggs. So I got to sit in on 4-hour Myers-Briggs sessions. And I was like, this is so cool. Like I was just doing the admin for it, but I was like, I want to do that. I think I saw the facilitator and I was like, I could do that. That would be really fun. And so anyways, then I got certified in the Myers-Briggs. Now I can do that. If anyone's curious what their type is.
You do it all. And I love it.
Thanks.
And just hearing you like walk us through that, I'm like, I had a lot of those little moments with you. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm being like completely honest and I don't want to cry, but like I really did. As many workshops as you had, I was like, I gotta go. I just gotta be in the room where it happens. Little Hamilton reference.
I got it.
But
it makes me happy.
Yeah.
I think,
I'm geeking out because I didn't really see how similar we were. I just knew I loved
whatever. You took you're doing my profession. you literally followed me into this field.
I did. I love lifestyle coaching. I finally bought Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I love this book.
Oh, it's on my reading list. I'm like, everyone keeps telling me I should read it. I'm like, oh, Jesus. All right. Well, gotta add it.
Like as a lifestyle coach, I'm always trying to teach people like it's the little mundane things that you do that really impact your big life, like the big picture. And so just like having the language that he uses will help me be a better coach, because I'm like, this is what I'm trying to teach you. And instead of me trying to like come up with my own like theory and stuff, I'm like, let's look at this excerpt and let's apply this. Let's implement this one thing. Let's try this. Because like I have a better understanding. And just the whole time I was reading the book, I was like, I said this. I was like, how does he know? But it's really nice just to know that I'm smart. I'm just like, if there's a book about it and I knew this and I was using my own little verbiage for it, I'm like, I'm smart.
Totally. I feel like it goes both ways though. Of like if you did it or you know it, you're like, I'm great. And then if it's something you didn't know, you're like, oh no, how did I not do this before?
I was just reading the book and I'm just like, I'm waiting for him to like explain something that I haven't tried with myself and like implementing in my life or have told one of my clients to do. And I'm just like, it's almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Confirmation that I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I don't want to, we could talk forever, Sam. We could literally talk forever, but I want to start wrapping up, and I really want everybody to connect with you because I think you're awesome. If you're going through a quarter-life crisis, you know where to go because Sam will help. But where's all the places that everyone can connect with you? Because we need you.
Thanks, Bria. So my website is called, it's www.quartercrisis.com. Quarterlife Crisis. And I'm sure, can you have that link out to people in the show notes? Beautiful. Mm-hmm. So that's my website. I do free intro calls if you just want to chat or if you're interested in coaching, whatever. Once again, some of those assessments and products are on my website too. I also have guides to like how to network, how to interview, all that fun stuff if you are in the job search. And then I'm mainly on LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn fan. So I guess you can probably put that in the chat as well, but feel free to connect with me. Send me a little note like, hey, I heard you on Bria's podcast. Yep. And I'll be like, yay. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, I just want to say thank you for being here and taking some time out of your day to chat with me and to share your knowledge with my community. And I love you so much, Sam. Did you get married? Are you like, it just came to me.
I love you too. And I have not gotten married yet, but I'm going to get married this summer.
Oh, because I was like, I didn't get pictures. That was just a very random moment. I was just like Sam's a wife now. Wait, is she a wife now? But no, I'm excited to see all the photos. Yeah, I was trying to wrap up and do my outro and then just slap me in the face. But thank you everybody for listening. And we've talked about a lot. I was vulnerable. I shared a lot about where I am right now. And yeah, I just wanted you to take some time to reflect. So per usual, there will be some reflection questions, prompts on the screen for everybody who's watching, and some questions in the description if you're listening in the audio format. But just take the next 3 minutes to reflect on whatever came up for you. Take some time for you, see what's going on, and we'll see you tomorrow. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll see Sam again. Hopefully.
I'd love to be back. It was so great to be here. This was really fun.
Yay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sam, and happy reflecting, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, I really hope you enjoyed today's girl chat. I loved having these conversations and I'm sure you're going to enjoy tomorrow's episode as well. But before you go ahead and click to the next girl chat, I want you to share your thoughts on this one. So you can go to the comments and share your key takeaways, what gem resonated with you, and just let us know your thoughts. And so, yeah, we want to keep the conversation going. We want to keep the girl chat going, even though it's over. But you can start the conversation down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on the podcast, If you are listening on the podcast, I want you to go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode and tag us at Doulas Bloom on Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Same thing, keep the conversation going, share it with a friend, let us know your key insights, your key takeaways, and yeah, I want to know your thoughts. How did you feel today's girl chat went? What resonated with you? So yes, that is what I want. And then I will see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow for the next girl chat. And I'm so excited about this series. So excited about it. So, but I will see you tomorrow for the next girl chat. And yeah, I love y'all. Bye.